Good morning, it's Monday, and welcome to the Vicarage here at Penn. Hope you are well and cheerful, and it's really good to see you this morning. Hope you had a lovely weekend. I hope you're looking forward to a lovely day. Just to remind you, 6th of December, which is now a week on Sunday, 5:30 in the evening, stand at the doorstep with your mobile phone or your tablet in hand. We'll provide the carols, you provide some extra singing on top, and let's make it so that the streets of Penn throng with Christmas carols on Christmas yet. 6th of December, Sunday, 6th of December, 5:30 in the evening. To our Bible reading for today, we are still on our adventure, hearty adventurers, through the book of Revelation. To remind you, we're getting there. There are 22 chapters. We're now on chapter 14 today. Brief recap, as I always do. Chapter 1, introduction. Chapter 2 and 3, letters to churches in Western Turkey. Chapters 4 is the vision of God in his creation. Chapter 5 was the God with the scrolls and Jesus being prepared, worthy to open them. Chapters 6 and 7, we have the 7 seals being opened on the scrolls. Chapter 8 to 11, we have trumpets sounding. Chapter 12, we have God's rescue plan with the baby being born. And chapter 13, we had the mark of the beast and so on. And chapter 14 is today. So with that in mind, Revelation chapter 14, quite a long chapter, but please bear with me, I'll tell you what it means, or what I think it means at the end. Then I looked, and there was the Lamb standing on Mount Zion. With him were 144,000 who had his name and his father's name written on their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven like the sound of many waters, like the sound of the loud thunder. The voice I heard was like the sound of harpists playing on their harps. And they sing a new song before the throne and before the four creatures and before the elders. No one could learn that song except the 144,000 who have been redeemed from the earth. It's these who've not defiled themselves of women, for they are virgins. These follow the Lamb wherever he goes. They have been redeemed from humankind as firstfruits for God and the Lamb, and in their mouth no lie was found. They are blameless. Then I saw another angel flying in mid-heaven with an eternal gospel to proclaim to those who live on the earth, to every nation and tribe and language and people. He said in a loud voice, "Fear God and give him glory, for the hour of his judgment has come, and worship him who made heaven and earth, the sea and the springs of water." Then another angel, a second, followed, saying, Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great. She made all nations drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Then another angel, a third, followed them, crying with a loud voice, Those who worship the beast and his image and receive a mark on their foreheads or on their hands, they will drink the wine of God's wrath, poured unmixed into the cup of his anger, and they'll be tormented with fire and sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And in the smoke of their torment goes up forever and ever. There's no rest day or night for those who worship the beast and his image, and for anyone who receives the mark of its name. Here is a call for the endurance of the saints, those who keep the commandments of God and hold fast to the faith of Jesus. And I heard a voice from heaven saying, Write this, Blessed are the dead who from now on who die in the Lord. Yes, there's a spirit. They will rest from their labours, for their deeds follow them. Then I looked, and there was a white cloud, and seated on the cloud was one like a son of man with a golden crown on his head and a sharp sickle in his hand. Another angel came out of the temple, calling on a loud voice to the one who sat on the cloud, Use your sickle and reap, for the hour to reap has come, because the harvest of earth is fully ripe. So the one who sat on the cloud swung his sickle over the earth, and the earth was reaped. Then another angel came out of the temple in heaven. He too had a sharp sickle. Then another angel came out of the altar, the angel who had authority over fire, and he called with a loud voice to him who had the sharp sickle, Use your sharp sickle and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for its grapes are ripe. So the angel swung his sickle over the earth and gathered the vintage of the earth, and threw it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. And the winepress was trodden outside the city, and blood flowed from the winepress as high as a horse's bridle, for the image of about 200 miles. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Well, all I'm going to say is please enjoy this, because I've agonised over this chapter all weekend. There's absolutely... I could talk about fornication, I could talk about the Grim Reaper, I could talk about grapes of wrath, but I think this entire chapter could be summed up in verse 12, when he says, Here is a call for the endurance of the saints, those who keep the commandments of God and hold fast to the faith of Jesus. I think what this chapter, and to be honest, what this book really is saying, the whole book is really saying is, you guys, you Christians, you're having a hard time, but you're saints and you're worth it. So hang on in there. Hang on in there. I think that's what he's saying. This whole chapter here is about, I know you're having a hard time, but hang on in there. Why should you hang on in there? Well, firstly, the first few verses, there's this lovely vision of heaven. And I suppose you could, the first reason why you want to hang on in there is this. Because when the saints come marching in, I want to be in that number. Oh, when the saints come marching in. So the first reason to stand there is because you want to be saints, because there's a great reward at the end. The second reason you can find in verses 6 to 7, when he talks about why God is worthy of worship. And so that's the first reason want to be the reward of being saints. The second is because God is good and because God is worth it. Because he's the one, as it says in verse 7, who made heaven and earth, the sea and the springs of water. So worship God because he's worth it. The third reason you'll find in verse 8, when he talks about fallen is Babylon the Great. A brief explanation of what that means is that in 587 BC, the Babylonians came and destroyed Jerusalem, and they took the people away to exile. And a bit similarly to the way that the Jewish people are understandably and rightly traumatized by the Holocaust, in a similar way, they were traumatized by being taken into exile. And where did they go? They went to a place called Babylon. Now, 70 AD, similarly, the Romans came in and smashed Jerusalem and took the people away to exile again. And because that had happened before, Rome had gained the nickname Babylon. So Rome doesn't get a very good write-up in the Bible, particularly here, because it gets, the previous chapter is called a beast. Now it's called Babylon because it took the people away to exile. But it's given something else as well. It's called Babylon the Great. And this is a side swipe, it's slightly sarcastic. It's referring to Daniel chapter 7, when a Babylonian king by the name of Nebuchadnezzar decided that he was invincible. And then he had a dream, and it all came down. They say pride comes before a fall. He decided he didn't need God, but he certainly learnt the hard way that he did. So calling it Babylon the Great is basically saying Babylon it's on its way. It's had its day, It's on its way down. And as Nebuchadnezzar was taken down all those years ago, so today Rome will be taken down too. So far we've got, why should you hang on in there? Firstly, because you want the reward of the saints. Secondly, because God's worth it. Thirdly, because the opposition is on its way down. Fourthly, because the other reason is there's a certain amount of carrot and stick in this. There's certainly a bit of stick in here as well. You really don't want to experience some of the torments that experience those who were at the sharp end of that as well. So there's carrot and there's stick as well. That's what it means by the no rest day or night for the and so on. He's talking about the punishment, if you like, for those who end up on the wrong side. But finally, he goes on to talk about the sickle as someone coming along and reaping. And I mean, I think you can go on top of that. I think this is what this is really saying is, as Jesus said in the Gospels, the time is ripe for harvest. In similarly, the harvesters get sickles out and they reap the harvest at the right time of year. What John is saying here is the time is right. The time is coming. How long, say the people? Not long, says God, because the harvester has got the sickle in his hand. So what is this chapter about? My friends, it's about saying to their people then, and it's about actually saying to us, hang on in there. This is a call for the endurance of the saints. And why should we do this? Firstly, because there's great reward, because we'll be amongst those saints that come marching in. Secondly, because God is worth it, because he's the one who made the earth and he's worth it. Thirdly, because Babylon, or whatever Babylon may be today, it's had its day. It's on its way out. Fourthly, because you really don't want to be on the wrong side of that. Because when Babylon comes crushing down, great is its fall, and you don't want to be on the wrong side of it. And finally, of course, because the time is coming soon. God does hear our prayers. We say, how long, Lord? And God says, the time is soon. Because the reaper has got ready to harvest, and as he gets his harvest out, so the time is short for us soon. God bless you. Have a lovely day. And hang on in there, my friends. This is a call for the endurance of the saints, to those who keep the commandments of God and hold fast to the faith of Jesus. They had to, so must we. God bless.